Welcome, everybody, to Straight Shoot, a wrestling podcast. This is our Night 2 review of WrestleMania 38 from Dallas, Texas. Steve, how you feeling about all of this?
Santi, I'm still coming down from one of the best highs. Dude, honestly, I did not know what to expect from Night 2. Night 1 left us kind of on the pinnacle of marking out with that Stone Cold entire segment, and now I'm sitting here and I feel light. My body feel light. It feels light. It feels like almost an out of body experience. Just imagine being a part of that 78,000 people in Dallas, what they just got to experience, that we experienced live with 1,000 to 34,000 people that came through our live, which was insane. Thank you, everyone. But wow, Santi, you were there. You were sitting right next to me. Where are we on this right now? Like, where are you?
I this is where I'm at, and again, I'm just coming off of watching this WrestleMania, so recency bias could potentially be part of my opinion right now. You know, there's definitely the younger audience from our TikTok is saying this is the greatest Mania of all time. It is not. It is not. This potentially might be the most fun WrestleMania of all time, which we're going to talk about some of the really fun segments. But if you look at the combination of Night 1 and Night 2, it was just fun. And I'm thinking back to the WrestleManias, you know, from 37 to 30, and I would say that it's potentially the best one out of those. And I look at the ones in the 20s, and it's better than a lot of those there. But what it definitely is better at is it was fun and it was entertaining as all hell. And now for today, Steve, the plan is to review the segments of Night 2, but then of course we can kind of talk about our overall thoughts on the most stupendous spectacle in wrestling. We can kind of give our overall thoughts here at the end. So let's just start from segment by segment. Let's break it down and see kind of where we're at on a segment by segment basis. The show starting off with the King of Kings, Triple H himself, coming out to welcome the audience, and you could just tell Hunter was psyched to be in front of that many people, and to have, and I'm going to sound cheesy, to have the WWE universe back. You could sense it. You could sense he was out there having fun with just his entrance alone. But this was the official retirement of one of, you know, you can make the argument the greatest of all time. Definitely one of the greatest of all time in Triple H by hanging up the boots and leaving them in the middle of the ring. It's official. It's official, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take one quick step back because I commented to you while we were sitting here watching it on the live. I said I think the WWE superstars needed this WrestleMania just as much as the fans did. This was the return back to normalcy and normality. They needed that energy on both sides. The wrestlers themselves had to give that energy back to the fans, and the fans had to give that energy back to the wrestlers. And I think what you saw with Hunter coming out is what he has sorely missed during his late NXT Gold and Black to his condition into the end of the pandemic. This was his last ride per se.
Yeah.
Even though it was only a 5-minute entrance and the boots, the welcome to WrestleMania, I really think Hunter needed to get that last little bit of energy. You even said it, hey Hunter, like let's keep the heart rate down, you know, the blood pressure. But I think that was his last true pop, and that was emotional. Yeah, that was emotional. I got emotional last night with the Austin everything. But that was emotional in a different sense. It's like my childhood is now gone. There is no more Mick Foley. There is no more HBK. There is no more Undertaker. There is no more Rock that we know of. There is no more Stone Cold Steve Austin. And there is no more Hunter.
Yeah.
The Attitude Era is done. And I really think what we were talking about this being fun for the guys my age, we got that last little bit of fun with Austin
McMahon.
and McMahon. We'll talk about it, but we got that final chapter. I think tonight was the final chapter on the Attitude Era. That book is now closed.
Yeah.
So, what a first segment, and it led really into the rest of night 2, which was so good.
Absolutely. I mean, let's start off with the matches. This was the match that I said this is going to be the spark plug match, and I love the fact that they put this at the very top of the show, because this was something that night 1 sorely missed, because night 1 was great except the first 20-25 minutes of it with the first 2 matches. Night 2 remedied that by putting a super fast-paced, fun match right at the top of the card. We got Team RK Bro, Randy Orton and Riddle facing off against the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford versus Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis. And we had Team RK Bro win to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. And what a fun... And again, this just kind of goes with the whole mantra that we keep saying, that this was such a fun Mania. What a fun match. What great spots. What a great finish. And here's the thing, Steve. Any one of these teams deserved to win. They all went out there and put on a spectacular show. I do think that this is the right team to continue to carry the Raw Men's Tag Team division. Ultimately, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you tenfold. All I'm going to say is I'm going to sound like a broken record here and say that I'm all about the story. This storyline for the last 6 weeks between all 3 of these teams has been fantastic.
Yeah.
So if Alpha Academy won, I wasn't going to be mad. Street Profits won, really wasn't going to be mad. RK Bro, not going to be mad. I just want to acknowledge quickly, and acknowledge is going to be my word of the night, clearly, but I'm going to acknowledge Montez Ford. The man is I'm going to try not to swear as much tonight as well. The man is an absolute bona fide athlete. That spot over the turnbuckle, yes, we've seen it before, but the way he came so close and tucked right as his head went over. Wow. And then he landed on his feet and was forced to fall over. Oh, come on.
I mean, speaking of Montez Ford, he ate a beautiful springboard RKO from not Randy Orton, but from Riddle. What's funny is that I said to Steve, we need a springboard RKO, but they reversed it, because I was expecting the victim to be springboarding. Instead, we had the Predator doing the springboarding, a la Sammy Guevara on Cody Rhodes on AEW. Beautiful RKO, immediately followed by an equally as beautifully timed RKO on Chad Gable, this time by the original gangster himself, creator of the RKO, Randy Orton. 1, 2, 3, Team RK Bro retain the World Tag Team Championships. And what a lightning rod of a match. And that's exactly what we needed to start off this night.
It was the spark that night 1 did not have. Night 1 was like that slow burning ember that leads into the forest fire, which we got. But tonight was, let's just pour some gasoline on it and let's go and see how long this lasts.
Yeah.
And speaking about how long it lasts, we went into Bobby Lashley versus Omos.
Yeah. I mean, what do you, I mean, okay, I can take it away here. So we had Bobby Lashley defeating Omos via pinfall in a singles match in around 6.5 minutes. I mean, look, I turned to Steve and I said, because Steve was saying, what a terrible match. And I said to Steve, it's okay if it's terrible. All it needs is a memorable spot, right? A memorable spot. Whether it's something crazy like Bobby Lashley military pressing Omos, a proper suplex on Omos, just something. And it didn't even have that, unfortunately. I'm glad Bobby won, but I don't know. This victory doesn't do a lot for Bobby. And I don't know what you do with either of these guys. I thought that the booking that we created here at Straight Shoot was significantly better. Do you want to tell our audience what that idea was?
With MVP coming out and actually swerving and turning on Bobby Lashley and becoming that promo artist for Omos and costing Bobby Lashley the match, because you could run that into a feud into Survivor or SummerSlam. You could run that to Survivor Series. You could build a faction off it. Hell, you could get Apollo and
as Commander Aziz.
Yeah, Commander Aziz, and bring that in and start a whole new faction with MVP, which we know MVP is a great manager, like we saw with the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
So I think our booking on this match was a lot better. Clearly, Vince and Bruce Pritchard did not listen to us.
Who would have thought?
And they went with just a very odd finish for me, a very boring, lackluster finish for me. And honestly, if I don't even want to rate the match, because I don't want to put a damper on how good this night was.
Yeah. I will just say that I'm happy that Bobby was on the card. I'm happy for Omos in terms of getting a worthy enough opponent that, turned some heads, even though the match was not what it's not. Here's the thing, like, I don't think anyone was expecting much out of this, so I don't think like people are disappointed with how this match went. I think it was kind of sort of part for the course. I think what is surprising is the result, just with how much time WWE has spent in building Omos. It's a bit of an odd decision, but hey, I digress. I love Bobby Lashley, you know that. Next match, Steve. I'm
Go ahead, my dude. I'm gonna open the velvet rope for you. Go ahead, my friend.
I am grinning ear to ear. In our predictions podcast, I said that this is the match that could steal the show. It needed to do a couple of things, all right? It needed to be fun. It needed to include the crew of Jackass, and it needed just ridiculous bumps. I didn't want hardcore bumps, right? I didn't need like tacks or chair shots to the head. I needed fun bumps, which is why I threw out the example of the shopping cart. We didn't get the shopping cart, but we got some other iconic Jackass props that we're going to talk about here in just a second. And Steve, let me tell you something here. What a freaking spectacle this was. I was grinning from ear to ear. We got all three of those things that I said that we needed. We got all three of them. Not only did we get Wee Man, we got Party Guy. Party Guy, underrated in the lore of Jackass. I'm telling you. We didn't get the shopping cart, but we got the giant hand slap.
No. That was the debut of Mark Henry and Mae Young's Hand Baby. It debuted. The dude, he grew up. He got to the main event.
Steve, this was everything it needed to be and more. I want to bow down and kiss the feet of Sami Zayn for turning into a genuinely hilarious slapstick wrestling comedian. That was comedy. And it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't lame, wasn't geared towards kids. It was just fun, hilarious, and we got a better slam than Hogan on Andre the Giant. We got Wee Man lifting the immovable object that is Sami Zayn in a beautiful, beautiful body slam. Steve, this to me, it was up to this moment my favorite spot of all of Mania. I'm not even gonna lie, that's how over I was on this.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna say right now, like, I did not expect much to this match. The buildup was entertaining, but it's Johnny Knoxville. Like, what are you gonna expect? The guy could get, like, the wind could blow and it could hurt him type thing, And oh my god, like, again, respect to Sami Zayn. Like, he is one of the most underrated workers in my mind in WWE currently. His gimmick's not the best, but the shit he is willing to do. Can we just talk about the spot on the table with the mouse traps?
Yeah.
The distance that table was from where he came off from the back right side ring post. That was a long way. And he made it and he sold it. Wee Man, bless the man. Bless him. He didn't get used as a weapon. He was the fucking weapon. Like, my God. The body slam was clean. This is a guy that is, 4 feet tall? And he genuinely picked up a 6-foot man and dumped him on his ass.
Oh.
Like, let's go. We're going to go back to Mae Young's hand, baby. That's how I'm referring to this spot.
Sure.
The greatest spot in Jackass history gets reenacted on WrestleMania.
It was so good. And they the best part, Steve, is they hit it for the TV audience. We didn't know it was there. We didn't know it was so there. And then Sami Zayn is I can't remember if he was chasing Wee Man or what it was.
Let me just say, if anybody remembers the Jackass spot where Bam Margera takes that hand with the powder and he's carrying the soup or the coffees or whatever it was, and he goes stiff and gets flown backwards. Sami Zayn reenacted that perfectly.
Oh, it was so good, man.
And I can't wait to actually edit the live and pull spots, because I think you and I marked out so hard on that spot.
Oh, I was rolling. I was actually rolling.
You were I have not heard you laugh that hard ever. That was so good. Honestly, at this point, I did not think anything was topping the spot marquee of this match. By the end of this, I was like, no, there are too many good fucking spots in this match that it is not getting beat.
It was so good. It was so good. The only problem at the very end was the giant. There was a giant mousetrap. The giant mousetrap not triggering, but eventually worked. And you know,
at least. But they prepped for it. No, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. They prepped for it though, because there was a release 1, a release 2, and finally, Johnny Knoxville pulls release 3 and gets himself caught in this PVC mousetrap.
Oh man, I could not recommend this match to people more. This was excellent. Kudos to everyone involved, Johnny Knoxville, the crew of Jackass. Shout out to the most underrated Jackass character and party guy, Sami Zayn. You guys are legends. What a fantastic segment.
Incredible.
I bow down to these guys. Let's move on. To the women's tag team fatal 4-way. We had Sasha Banks and Naomi defeating champions Queen Zelina and Carmella, as well as Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and the team of Natalya and Shayna Baszler via pinfall.
Do you want to really talk about what really stole this match, or do we want to talk about the match first?
I mean, the match is okay. Let's talk about the entrances and the outfits, because I was marking out.
Oh my God. Okay, let's start from the top. We had Naomi come out to her glow,
which is one of my favorite entrances. Steve doesn't like it, but I love the glow entrance.
I'm not a big fan, but I did see some background stuff while you were traveling home before we were recording, and they were literally yeeting those glow sticks. Those weren't purchased. Like during the between, there was like 20 guys just hand bombing these glow sticks into the floor crowd. So they all had some, thousands of them just going like crazy. So that was great. Now that I saw how they prepped it, awesome. Love it. But Snoop Dogg apparently decided to land Sasha a fucking Lamborghini. And goddamn, how good did Sasha look coming out of that? Like,
oh, it was great. It was awesome. It was like a very successful Eddie Guerrero. Yes. And then we had the outfits of the night. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan coming out as basically what Halle Berry's Catwoman. It was
Sorry, I'm wiping the drool off of my face.
Oh, they look fantastic.
Oh my God, Liv Morgan, I truly simped out for you tonight. I will say that through and through. Oh my God, Liv's outfit was just. Here's the thing. I'm gonna go off for a sec. Liv Morgan deserves so much better than what she's getting. She invests in her character. She invests in her in-ring work, and for some reason, she is reaching for that fucking proverbial brass ring, and it's almost like at that fingertip where you paw at it, and she does so well. Like we said at the start, some of these wrestlers should not have been in this match, or this match should have been something different, like a ladder or a tornado or something. And I just feel bad, but god damn, did her and Rhea, I think, stole the show for both nights when it comes to entrances. Like, I think their gear was the best of the show.
It was stellar. It was absolutely stellar. Now, I mean, the match itself was like just nothing special. Here's my post-mortem of the match now that I've had some time to digest it. And this might trigger something in you, Steve, because I'm only just realizing it now. Did Shayna and Natalya get any offense at any moment in this match? I can't recall them even being in it. They were so forgettable in it.
Yeah, they were not good. They were not good at all, but they did have a little bit of offense at one point. It was camera front, and they had a weird little tag in, tag out segment, but that was about it. Thing is, what the result of this match makes sense. Naomi, Sasha, I honestly thought there was going to be a swerve and a turn, but it didn't happen. But Carmella's and Corey are about to go get married. Zelina really deserves a singles everything.
Yeah.
Liv and Rhea can battle back and forth for these tag titles because Sasha and Naomi now have to come to Raw. So this all does make sense.
But do you care?
No. Fuck no.
All right, then let's move on.
All right.
Yeah, okay, so we're moving on to what I unfortunately, the longest match of the night, which I unfortunately also believe was a very disappointing affair. We had Edge versus AJ Styles in a singles match. Now, here's why I think it's disappointing. The vibe of the crowd and the story that they were trying to tell in the ring was a bit too much of a juxtaposition with everything else where the show was shining, which was fun and electrifying. You know, when we look at the Roman and Lesnar match, there was no fun, but it was electrifying. It was electrifying, and people cared and people were standing. I saw the entire front row yawning throughout this match. The crowd was deflated. When the crowd is deflated, the audience at home is deflated. And once the audience around the world is deflated, then that's where the negative judgment starts to creep in for the match. But if you look at it, like if every match had no audience, this is a technical great match. I just don't think it was the match we needed. We needed ruthlessness.
Here's the thing. Okay, let's look at the match before it and the match before that. Knoxville and Sami Zayn with the crew of Jackass genuinely tore the house down in that match. Then we had a very lackluster Fatal 4-Way Tag Women's match that was bad. Then we go into a technical match. It was the positioning of this match on the card. You put this match after RK Bro, or even in front of that. You start the show with this match. Different reaction.
Yeah.
Different reaction, especially with the swerve with Damian Priest and the new faction for Edge. there's a different reaction. This is all back down. The match was very good.
Yeah, it was.
If you are a fan of technical wrestling and professional wrestling, this was a very good match. But this was so poor on creative side of positioning on the card. You need to know where to read the crowd. If you are going to put a technical wrestling match on, you don't put it after something that is massive where there was a bathroom break right after it. People are going to see this and be like, two big names, but I'll just stay for my other beer in the concourse. So this was bad on booking. Phenomenal technical wrestling match.
Yeah.
With a great swerve. But wrong place to put it.
It was just tough to get invested. Because, like you said, the placement on the card, everyone was exhausted. And like I said, if you're gonna put it there, it required more ruthlessness than technical work. Because the match itself, like I said, is great, but there's a lot more that makes a professional wrestling match entertaining. And part of that is the crowd. The crowd was dead and deflated. Go ask Chris Jericho and Triple H how difficult it is to perform in front of a deflated crowd. They had to follow up Rock and Hogan. I just think that they suffered from a poor placement on the card. But I mean, let's talk about outcomes here, because we had Damian Priest, and what's weird is that somebody in the TikTok chat said, wouldn't it be funny if Damian Priest came out and interfered? And we're like, that makes no fucking sense. Why would that even make sense at all? And it's exactly what we got. And I'm into it. If they're planning on building some sort. And by the way, Damian Priest kneeled in front of Edge. So perhaps we're getting some sort of cult-like quasi brood cult faction. If it's led by Edge, hell yeah, I'm in.
So I was reading a lot right before Mania today, and the rumor mill was that Edge is getting a faction, like massive rumor mill that Edge is getting a faction. Are we gonna get 2022 version of a darker brood? Yes.
What's
please.
the AEW faction? The Dark Order?
A Dark Order, or the House of Black,
maybe something like that.
Yes, please. All day. If you want to bring in Tommaso, it was said in the chat that it could be Tommaso as a third person. I don't want that, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, think about this. Damian Priest, Edge, and Tommaso Ciampa as a faction.
Hell to the yes.
Take my money.
Hell yes.
Take my fucking money, because we've got Hell in a Cell coming. There's gonna be Money in the Bank. We've got Nights of Savagery coming up in the next couple of months, where you're like, these three in that type of stable could put on barn burner matches followed by violence. And I'm okay with this. Okay with this.
Yeah, I think we're ready to move on, but I think my final thoughts are the match itself. I was a bit underwhelmed with the entire package, not the technical work, but I'm optimistic as to where all of this is going. Is where I'll leave it at. I think this next one should be quick. We've got Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch defeating the New Day with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston by a pinfall in 1:40.
So I'm gonna say something right now.
Say it.
I was livid with how short this was, but the events that preceded it made me not give a shit about this match.
Yeah, I mean, it was, if WWE didn't care, then we didn't care either. right? And I think that showed. I mean, I'll talk about some of the things that I loved. I loved the New Day's homage to Big E with the ring gear, with the Big E dance moves. I love that. And that's where the things that I loved about this match end. That's kind of where it ends.
There was a little spot right at the end where what's his name? I won't acknowledge him as his, when Pete Dunne came in and just started brawling. Was it Xavier?
Yeah,
it was Xavier. Brawling on Xavier, and I was like, okay, so they're making him look like that, like
the unhinged spark plug or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Which I did like, because it could be this new stable. And I think we're going to see a lot of DQ matches because they're not releasing him to allow him to perform in matches, which I'm okay with this down the line. But you're also dealing with an ex-world champion in Kofi. And you're also dealing with an ex-world champion in Sheamus. You think you're going to pay them enough respect to give them at least 5, not under 2?
Yeah, didn't even make it to 2, yeah.
No, so my point being is, I was really pissed off that this is what they got, but then we got what came next.
Oh, and buddy, what came next is a gem. It is gonna go down as one of my all-time favorite segments, because it's 2 matches, but it's over. Let's call it a segment. It's gonna go down as one of my favorite segments in Mania history.
I'm going to tell you right now, and you are going to get straight hot. This was better than Bad Bunny. Hands down.
I mean, when you put the entire package together, I find it hard to disagree. So we had Pat McAfee defeating Austin Theory they have it with Vince McMahon via pinfall in about a 10-minute clinic. What a match! What an absolute match. And the show, the spectacle, the first we had Vince McMahon agreeing to take a selfie. Then we had a phenomenal entrance, a phenomenal entrance theme for Pat McAfee. This is where, you know, at the top of the show, we were talking about what a fun Mania. This just goes with that mantra. Like, everyone was having fun. Okay. Let me settle down for a second, because this was my favorite segment of the night. We had Pat McAfee shocking the hell out of us with some incredibly athletic moves. The dead jump up to the top turnbuckle for a superplex, while right before that doing a backflip to avoid an attack from Austin Theory from the top rope. Okay, so the match itself, it was fantastic technically, and it was made even better by the shock factor of seeing what Pat McAfee is capable of. And the fact that Pat McAfee was doing commentary while beating the shit out of Austin Theory was awesome.
So I want to get 3 points here. Let's not forget, we all know, and we were reminded incredibly, that Pat McAfee did perform in NXT against Adam Cole. We are well aware. We are independent wrestling podcast. We know our knowledge on wrestling. But Pat McAfee tonight dug deep into a locker and a special bag of tricks. And wow, there is a reason, and we thought we started it on our thing, but there is a reason McAfee Mania is trending on Twitter right now, because Pat fucking McAfee stole the show.
And we're not done. We're not done.
We're not done.
Yeah. And then immediately after this match, we had a stare down of the ages between the boss, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and Pat McAfee himself, with Pat McAfee challenging Vince McMahon to a match, and Vince McMahon pretending to agree, nah, I'm walking, and then actually taking off the suit, only to reveal that he had the classic black tank top under all that, and he was ready for a match. And we don't need to talk about the match itself, right? Like it's Vince, guys.
Yeah.
He's a decrepit old man. All right, what were you expecting him to do? What we need to talk about is the showmanship of everything here. All right,
yes.
The entire package of what Vince McMahon was providing, how he was playing the crowd. The man still has it in terms of being a showman himself. Pat McAfee probably having the time of his life doing the job for Vince McMahon. And let's not discount Austin Theory hitting his cues and being perfect in both segments, in the segment with Vince and in the segment with Pat McAfee.
And if we're gonna not discredit Austin Theory, let's one up this and let's acknowledge Michael Cole. I am not a Michael Cole person at all. I never have been. But this man calling this entire, what was it? We'll say 14 and a half minute segment he was the older embodiment of Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee wasn't on the headset. You felt like you were listening to the Pat McAfee through Michael Cole. And oh my God. Like when McAfee grabbed his headset, I felt I was watching Rock beat the crap out of Mick Foley back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm watching history repeat itself, and thank you. Because I was marking out like a kid, like I was last night with Austin. And speaking of Austin.
Well, I was going to say a very appropriate transition here. You said history repeating itself. And we, the wrestling fans that have been around, caught this. We had a recreation of of Stone Cold making a deal with the devil, the hug. Right, the hug in Texas between Vince McMahon and Austin Theory, and when you know it, the glass breaks. Down comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he does what Stone Cold Steve Austin does.
Oh man, Santi, I think I marked out harder than last night because anytime it's. At the end of the day, it was a conversation in the chat, but it's not even a conversation on like for anyone. The greatest rivalry of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. Hit me in the comments if you think hit me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, because you are, not me. Stone Cold versus McMahon is the greatest rivalry of all time. And you almost felt like when he came down and like took care of Theory, which let's talk about Theory's sell.
Oh, what a beautiful sell of the stunner! That's an iconic sell.
It was the feet. It was the feet in the air, right? And I'm like, okay, we're gonna push this new kid to the side, and we're gonna have the face off. And for a minute, and I even turned and said to you, I said, "Are we gonna get? Let's let bygones be bygones." And like the chat blew up, and you even looked at me and like, not a chance.
Not a chance.
No chance in hell. No chance in hell. Yeah. And I was just like, and then let's talk about the stunner. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So people were like, that's the worst stunner of all time. Vince is terrible. Are you kidding me? That is a classic Vince sell. All right. Vince, the very first Vince bump that I've ever seen was, you know, the stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was terrible. It was terrible. And this was terrible too, and it made it so much better that it was terrible. That's the thing. Yeah. It was terrible, but it was a classic, right? That's what everybody wanted to see.
If everybody wants to get mad at how bad the sell was and maybe say botch worthy, you clearly never watched the first bump between Austin and Vince, that first stunner where Vince looked like he went jelly from waist down and then just laid there like
the convulsion.
like he was getting tased, you know. I'm not mad at this cell.
No,
I'm
not at
not
all.
mad at Austin kicking him out of the ring.
Austin was dying laughing at the stunner. That's the thing too. At that terrible stunner, Austin's dying laughing, which of course has everybody grinning from ear to ear. But there was one more stunner.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, we had Pat McAfee coming in to celebrate, and you knew that Pat McAfee was about to get stunned to Kingdom Come. And we had a combination of a Shane McMahon cell with a Triple H cell with the stiff body, but with the spit up into the air. And I thought it was brilliant as well. I loved it to the point. I love when they cut to Pat McAfee dying after the stunner, and he grabs a beer and starts chugging with his eyes closed. This is, man, it's just, wrestling's fun.
Santi, that last segment, it was the, you know what I first thought of? Have you ever seen those girls on Instagram that duck their hair in the water and like,
yes,
spray up? When Pat McAfee went down and sprayed that rainbow of beer, I was like, that could be one of the greatest sells of all time. Maybe it was because I was so over with the entire event, but then they cut to McAfee
cracking a beer, dying. Oh man. Okay, so let's talk fallout from this real quick. So I think it's safe to say that this may have been potentially the sending off of Vince and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the vibes that we got. You know, even Michael Cole is like, well, they let bygones be bygones. They sort of did by just sort of closing the chapter of Austin and Vince McMahon, which is sad in the grand scheme of things. But I love that this is the way that it went out. Number two, Pat McAfee is a legend, and his stock in WWE is through the absolute moon right now. And you know, you and I always say WWE needs to pay Pat McAfee whatever he wants because the man is a national treasure. And three, the other person whose stock is through the roof right now because of all of these great rubs is Austin Theory. Austin Theory was phenomenal in this as well. Phenomenal in his match with Pat McAfee. The way he hides behind Vince McMahon is also, to me, like, I gotta give kudos to Austin Theory for his acting skills, because I laugh every time I see him berating Pat McAfee from behind Vince McMahon. The kid's got it, man. The kid's got it. The kid absolutely gets it. He gets storytelling, in-ring psychology, and he's fantastic in the ring. This kid is a future star in this company.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think this was Austin Theory's needed coming out party, Pat McAfee's coming out party, and the door closing on McMahon and Austin, which makes me incredibly sad because like my era of wrestling is now over. But what a way to end it. What a way to end it in Dallas with the chairman, the jacked chairman, the 3-year-old man literally being Vince McMahon. Like, wow. It felt great to watch it. But Austin Theory is going to go on and he's going to do big things. I just feel that it's going to take a little bit more time for him, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Let's move on to the biggest main event in WrestleMania history as they were billing it. So we have Universal Champion Roman Reigns defeating the Beast Brock Lesnar, WWE Champion, to unify what they are now calling the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. So it sounds like they're moving with the Universal Championship as the moniker of WWE, WWE's banner boy, who's going to be Roman Reigns, clearly. We had a 12 and a quarter match, and I was electrified throughout the entire time.
I think we were feeding off of the entire build, which was great. The crowd, I think I was watching the crowd a lot more than I was actually watching the match. Nobody was sitting down. this was one of those ones. It felt very Attitude Era-esque. The electricity through that entire stadium. There was a buzz for every touch, every bump, every hell. When the bell rang for the announcement and the first pull of the mic from Heyman, it was just electrifying. And the match, we won't get into the match just yet. These guys know how to tell a story. As much as people want to hate on Roman, and as much as people want to hate on Brock, you cannot deny their abilities and what they are doing to sell their stock. You know, Roman was fantastic in his cues. Paul Heyman, oh my God, Paul Heyman, pay this man whatever he wants to, because like he was in the right spot with the right facials the entire time. So this match, arguably empty stadium, not a barn burner.
No, absolutely not. No, this was a spectacle, right?
Absolutely.
And for it to be a spectacle, you need the right stakes and you need people to give a shit. And people clearly in the stadium gave a shit. Like you said, there wasn't a single butt on a seat. Was this a bona fide signature move off where it was just suplexes, spears, and Superman punches? Heck, we even got a little bit of a throwback to a Kimura lock, which we haven't seen in a while from Lesnar, but it really was just that, right? It was just a spot fest, an in-ring spot fest. But I think it was everything that it needed to be. Both of these guys are very much capable of putting together a 25-minute, fun, hard-hitting technical match. But clearly that's not always the best way to go, right? AEW loves doing their 30-minute technical masterpieces. This wasn't what it needed to be. And I mean, we can look to Edge and AJ Styles to prove that sometimes a spectacle will always be remembered more than a technical, like a technically better match, right? Yes. Because I was not even on the edge of my seat. I was off of my seat the entire time. I was very invested in the match that we had. I mean, I loved it. I think I'm going to just go ahead and say that I loved this main event, especially kind of just considering that a lot of Roman Reigns main events in the past, perhaps maybe with the exception of last year, but he was also working with two of the greatest last year with Edge and Daniel Bryan. A lot of Roman Reigns main events always fall flat with the crowd in attendance, right? We can look back at 31. Crowd was pretty dead until Seth Rollins, right? People weren't buying Roman. Mania 32, I can't remember who he faced in 31, but Mania 32, the match against Triple H, people hated it. Like the crowd was dead. The match against Taker, people hated it. The crowd was dead. Roman has always struggled to get people off of their seats prior to this tribal chief gimmick. And this tribal chief gimmick has people acknowledging him. And in this match, this is one of those main events where people gave a shit and the crowd elevated this match beyond, what we got on paper, which was just a heavy hitting spot fest.
Yeah, and it's funny because you said a couple of months ago you were completely okay with Roman Reigns going for another fucking 1,000 days.
Hey, they name dropped the two guys ahead of him. They name dropped Bob Backlund and they name dropped Bruno Sammartino. So WWE obviously has this in their radar as potentially having Roman Reigns be a modern day 1,000+ day reign, which there hasn't been one since I've been alive.
No, and there hasn't been
one.
There hasn't been one since I've been alive as well. The only thing I can say is the Asuka run with her undefeated.
Yeah, she never lost the NXT.
Yeah. So, but other than that, like I've never seen it either. I was at the end of the Bob Backlund run, but here's my question, Santi. And I don't want to bring up Oldberg, but who's next?
Yeah, I mean, Depends on where you're thinking. I think all of us were hoping for a "if you smell" at the end of this segment to try and set up potentially The Rock in Roman. There were rumors that The Rock was in the stadium. The Rock's mom, we kept seeing her in the audience,
in the crowd.
Yeah. I think like the next super marquee match would be Dwayne Johnson. But who's next? I mean, maybe Johnny Knoxville if he's gonna bring those props.
Pat McAfee, maybe, if he wants to keep doing backflips off the turnbuckle and stuff. But no, like here's where my biggest concern is with Roman right now. Like, he's already gone through all the marquee guys on the main roster, and they keep pulling from the past. Yes, okay, let's say it is, The Rock. You go another year, another 365 days. Puts him at just over 800 days, right? What then? You've already squashed Rollins. You've already squashed Owens. You've already squashed AJ. Edge isn't getting another title run. Orton's not separating anytime soon. Who?
Vacant.
Roman leaves because of injury.
Maybe. I mean, obviously, like we're talking very hypotheticals here. But I mean, this does put Roman Reigns on an echelon that I've never seen. Like, not even John Cena, not even Triple H during his reign of terror. This is not something I've ever seen before. Somebody this high above everyone else on the main roster, which like right now is exciting, but I can understand your hesitations and concerns about the legitimacy of the rest of the roster moving forward. I mean, if you think about it, they already by putting Brock in this main event, they are already saying that there's no one on the main roster that has the star power to go alongside a Roman Reigns. Right?
Yep.
They're already they're already basically saying that by putting Lesnar in this spot.
Yeah, and that's where my biggest concern is, because even though, say, Cody got a phenomenal pop, Roman's going to come out on Raw tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to come out. They're not bringing Rock out the Raw after Mania.
Hey, that's where the Cena and Rock match was announced. It was the Raw after Mania.
If they do decide to go back to that, then hell, they've swerved me.
Hey, you know what? I could see it being Rock. Raw after Mania, because it's been a while since we've had like the giant like crazy swerve at a night after Mania. But 2011, the setup of the once in a lifetime Rock and Cena, and then 2012, the 11-year return hiatus of Brock Lesnar, right? So they've done giant returns in the past before at Raw after Mania, and I mean, I could definitely see The Rock making that appearance.
I just really hope they don't decide to go with a Cody Rhodes. Like that's
no.
I think it's too soon.
Too soon, definitely too soon. I think Cody Rhodes has a lot of baggage that he needs to tackle in WWE.
Yeah, he's got to shed that.
Right?
He's got to shed a few more skins, like Corey Graves. And by the way, credit to Corey Graves last night with that commentary of that Stardust move moment where somebody, I think Byron Saxton, said he was paying homage. And Corey Graves turns around and he goes, no, he was shedding his skin. And I was like, that was perfect. So, but back to Roman, like, he's going to come out, he's going to have a celebratory moment because he's now the unified, so he's got to be on Raw tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to 16 hours from now to see what we're about to, or 17 hours from now to see what we're about to get, because I have a feeling this is going to be, I think, a new generation. It's going to be the new start to something very new for the professional wrestling business. And I am all for everything that we got this WrestleMania. Even the lackluster stuff. Wow. Like, let's just go. Like, give me Raw after Mania and show me what the next year is going to take.
It's been a while since I've been this pumped about wrestling. It really
Agreed.
has been a while. Yeah, I mean, yeah, even after last year's WrestleMania, I was not pumped. Even though I like the show, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's just something about the aura in the air and the decisions that were made at this year's Mania where I'm psyched to see where WWE takes this over the next 6 months. I think there's a lot of good nuggets in here, right? I mean, I'm gonna just list you some things just from what I'm seeing after all of the Mania matches are done. We're still gonna have the Bloodline in 2022. Who knows where the Miz and Logan Paul take us, right? We saw that Logan Paul can cut it in the ring, right? We're seeing we are going to continue to get to see Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. What's not to love about that? We now live in a world where Seth freaking Rollins is in the same roster as the Nightmare Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We get to put that book aside, but like you said, now we get to focus on the next generation. We still have fantastic youngsters in the likes of Riddle, the Street Profits. We have Sami Zayn doing Sami Zayn things. We've got Sasha Banks, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. We have Edge starting this stable. We have Pat McAfee being a national treasure. We have Austin Theory being elevated to Kingdom Come. 2022 has me excited, and this is what WrestleMania needs to do. WrestleMania is the season finale, and the season finale always needs to get you excited for the season premiere, and I am fucking pumped for WWE in 2022 now.
I have one more question before we take this off the air, Santi. Who, next to the fans, obviously, because the fans were the biggest winners of this weekend, out of all the performers, who was the biggest winner and to get them? Who got put over the most in your mind? I think.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's what I'm trying to get over here. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you two answers,
okay.
Although it might be cheating. I would say, even though he didn't need to be put over, this puts him over extra. Kevin Owens.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin Owens. We were preaching it. He could have gotten squashed. This loss puts him over.
Marquee over.
Yeah, big time over. Right. And number two, I've already been beating the drum. Austin Theory. Austin Theory has been winning me over the last several months, and just what a fantastic match he had with Pat McAfee. I love his back and forth and interactions with McMahon. And I mean, who doesn't get huge after an Austin and McMahon rub? Right? They're setting this kid up to have a huge year.
Big things.
Those are my two winners.
And I'm gonna agree. Like, their stock was enhanced. Kevin Owens has just signed a massive contract late December, early January, and his stock has just gone through the roof with his self-build with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this is going to put KO in the upper echelon of the new blood. And yes, we know Owens has been around for 10 years, but it's finally, I feel, Owens' next run on the top. He's going to get a couple of main events for the title. He might not win it. We don't know, but Owens is definitely going to be up there. Theory, I give him another year. I called it last time. He's our Rumble winner or our Money in the Bank winner.
I think he's better as a Money in the Bank winner than a Rumble winner.
Amazing. I get very big Edge vibes and Dolph Ziggler vibes from Austin Theory if we put the Money in the Bank in his hands. This is going to be a huge year. Like you said, this is the first time you've been truly excited for a end of the year into the new season per se of professional wrestling in WWE. And what the final thing I want to say, Santi, is honestly, I'm looking forward to running down this road with you. We have done some big things. 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, 252,000 followers on TikTok, 1,000 people in our fucking live, fucking 3 million 3 million likes over 2 nights on our lives on TikTok, guys. Thank you so much for all your support. I am very grateful. I'm not going to speak for Santi. I'll let him speak for himself.
Hey.
But guys, I am looking forward to running down this fucking road with you guys and seeing what happens.
Hell yeah, brother. Before we wrap it up here, I don't care what scale you use your own personal scale. What do you rate this WrestleMania?
8.5 out of 10. 8.9 out of 10.
Okay.
I will say this is the best WrestleMania I have watched since 25. I will say my favorite WrestleMania of all time is 17. We've covered this. 25. I'm gonna say I was really hyped on 25. I was very hyped on 30. So I'm gonna put this in my fourth.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna say that this is the best Mania since 22. I think there are here Mania is different now, right?
Yes.
Mania is different. So now that I'm thinking about it, it's tough to grade, right? Manias now are not going to get, the classics like the Taker's Shawn Michaels, right? It's different now. Mania is really focused on the entertainment aspect. And I think they've been trying that over the last couple of years. And I think this is the first one where they've really succeeded at balancing both and just sending the crowd home excited.
Is this the best Mania in the 30s?
30's really, really good, but I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
Same. So am I. 30 was good. This, I'm not going to sleep for a couple of more hours.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited.
Yeah.
My adrenaline has to come down. 30 was really good.
Yeah.
But I believe this is the best Mania in the 30s.
I'm okay with signing off on that. Signing off on that.
Santi, I'm stealing the line. Where can people find you?
I was just about to say it to you. People can find me at twitch.tv/SantiZap, or of course over on the TikTok at Straight Shoot. The links to all that stuff will be in the description. And Steve, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/Mr. Tesh and on the Straight Shoot TikTok. Also, guys, let's boost up the Twitter for Straight Shoot. Straight Shoot PC. If you have to ask what PC stands for, I feel sorry for you. It is Twitter/Straight Shoot PC. Go give us a follow. And I want to do one more quick shout out to our winners of our 2 US titles. The Backs Effect, actually a long-time follower of the Straight Shoot podcast, and Kevlar, coming from your Twitch channel, dude.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, like we had a lot of people in there, so I was very happy to draw both those names. So congratulations, massive shout out to you guys, and keep an ear out for some more giveaways that we might be doing.
All right, folks, take care, have a good one. See you next time.